Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and I'm stuck in New York, where I don't want to be today. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from YouTube user Just Us, which sounds a little bit like Justice, which I like. And Justice asked us, is it a bad idea to hire a discrimination or employment attorney where he has no other employees? Plus, pay him a reduced hourly rate and a percentage of winnings. Wouldn't it be a lot for the attorney to take on a loan? Does that cost me more money? I pay for everything. Sorry for the confusing question. Your question's not confusing. I think it's a great question. So there's two parts here. First and foremost, I think you're asking, is it okay to hire a solo practitioner, an attorney who works alone with no employees or maybe just one paralegal? And I would say that I've seen solo practitioners do tremendous work. I think solo practitioners can be fantastic. And I don't think if you find the right solo practitioner that you've harmed yourself considerably when hiring that solo practitioner over some firms. I've certainly seen firms of 30 people just form a conveyor belt of cases into the dumpster. Like just harming cases as fast as they possibly can, with as many touches from as many people as possible, and just doing terrible work. Well, I've seen solo practitioners help 40, 45 people a year. Just be smart about their caseload and do great work, really producing results for people. I can think of a couple right off the top of my head who have helped so many people and done such amazing work. We brought one in as a trial attorney for our firm. That was a solo attorney who, solo practitioner, his own practice, really does great work, helps a lot of people. And we said, hey, do you want to do some trials for us? We love what you're doing. We think it might be even better if you had, supporting teams to work up the cases for you before we go to trial. And that's been going swimmingly. It's really been wonderful. So I think solo practitioners can do amazing work. Do I prefer that cases have teams attached to them? Yeah, I absolutely do. Our playbook is 3 attorneys attached to every case. This is important to my mind for responsiveness. If clients call for their attorney, they expect answers fast in this field. This is not personal injury. This is not medical malpractice. This is not a field where you can say, I'll call you back in 2 weeks. That's not what should happen with employment attorneys. This is your livelihood. This is how you feed your family, keep a roof over your head. Whatever it is, it's life and death in a way that other fields of law aren't necessarily, right? If you can't earn, let's face it, there's not a great social safety net in the U.S. If you can't earn because of what's going on in the workplace, you could be homeless very rapidly in this country. And so employment attorneys need to be responsive to their clients, right? And one of the biggest things you see in that realm is like a solo practitioner's on trial could get 20 calls from 20 clients that given day, and she or he might be on trial from realistically 9:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the evening, and then be doing trial prep from 4:30 in the evening to midnight or 1 a.m. Right? That's what an attorney's life looks like when they're on trial. If they're not supported, 1, there's nobody to help break up that work for them. 2, there's nobody to call those people back for them. Right? If you have a case with 3 people on it, and one of the people's on trial or doing a hearing, or if I'm on a case and I'm sitting as an arbitrator hearing cases that I'm going to decide, somebody else on the case can return that call, right? Urgent things come up. Let's say urgent things come up on a Saturday night. Even better yet, I'm watching my Buffalo Bills on a Sunday. I've had myself a drink or so. You have something come up at work. You know what I'm not doing? I'm not getting on the phone with you because I've had a drink. And I'm not in the right state of mind to give you highly qualified advice that you need. So another attorney from your team would hop on that urgent phone call with you if it was urgent. If it was not urgent, we'd be having words about why you're claiming things are urgent. But if it was truly urgent, somebody would hop on that call with you and help you, right? That's the advantage of the team. I also think, and this is huge, this is one of the big tenets of the playbook as we put it together, different skill sets combine to make a more effective team in litigation. And that's something we see a lot of. We have different personalities here, we have different risk tolerances, we have different skill sets, and combining those teams to make the most effective unit possible has been tremendous for us in how we help people. All of this is to say that I think it's better to have multiple attorneys, but I know for a fact that I've seen solo practitioners help the ever living hoo-ha out of people. So much help. All the best help. People, everybody knows it's the best help. Like, I've seen solos do this stuff, right? Like, it's been amazing. So no, I don't think that's a bad deal necessarily. If you can get representation from a solo that you think is going to do amazing work, I'm thrilled for you. Now, the second part of your question, I feel differently about. And I'll read that part again. Plus, this attorney wants me to pay him a reduced hourly rate and a percentage of winnings. Now, reduced hourly, I mean, I guess it depends on what the reduced hourly is, but like, I have to assume you're at least paying $100 an hour still. It's hard for me to imagine. I guess it could happen somewhere in this country, but it's hard for me to imagine an attorney hourly rate below even $200 an hour, right? Which I know I've heard of, and I do come to this from an East Coast perspective. So attorney rates here are going to be different. I think when I work as an arbitrator, my hourly rate's like over $1,100 an hour. When I work, if I'm dipping in on an hourly case to help someone with something, generally we reduce rates to help our clients. It's lower. It's more like $800, per hour. So, I'm very uncomfortable with attorneys working on an hourly and taking a percentage. Certainly our firm, for most work, prefers to be on, primarily a percentage. Right, the bulk of how the firm makes its money on a given case should be the percentage, to my mind, in this field. Now, there's nothing wrong if you don't want your attorney to have a percentage that you pay them hourly. That's perfectly fine, and we have very affluent clients who make that choice, right? I can think of a couple off the top of my head who say, "Hey, I'm a high earner. I make a lot of money. I have a lot of money, and I got a case, and because I'm such a high earner, my case could be worth a tremendous amount of money. So Vince, I don't want you to have a percentage. I just want to pay you hourly." Okay. That's an informed decision, and I have no problem with that. Don't love that. Rather have that percentage. Rather win my money. But I get it, and I'm not going to tell you no. That's, I think, unethical, frankly. Trying to hold somebody's feet to the fire to get a percentage on their case is not a good look for anybody. But if you're not super affluent, paying hourly, even reduced hourly on a case like this, it gets expensive fast. It gets expensive real fast, right? What we invest in a case, just in terms of the costs, you have a federal litigation, 40, 60, 80 grand by the time we get to trial, before you even count labor costs. That's just what we might be investing in the case in terms of expenses. The labor costs, we're talking hundreds of attorney hours. Hundreds. If you have hundreds of hours, even at the reduced hourly rate of this hypothetical 100 per hour that I threw out, that I have no idea if that's what your reduced hourly rate is, well, you could already do the math. It's already a lot of money, and I doubt that your hourly rate has been reduced as low as $100 per hour. And on top of that, the attorney's getting the reduced hourly rate plus a percentage of winnings? I don't know about that. Because it sounds like that attorney gets the benefit of getting paid no matter what, so the attorney bears no risk, right? They have the sure thing. You're paying as they go, and if you stop paying, they go, right? But even though they didn't shoulder any of the risk for you, they still have a percentage on the back end of what they might win or settle for you. Colored me uncomfortable. That seems like a hell of a deal if the attorney can get it, but I don't generally like that. I know there's been times where people have negotiated things like that with us, and I've always been uncomfortable with it. There's also, I know firms that do that aggressively. I know firms who charge hourly plus 40%. Is that inherently wrong? No, I guess not. I just don't really know why an educated client would choose that, unless they think those attorneys are so amazing that they're worth the hourly plus 40%. I think I'm pretty swell, but I think it'd be pretty far-fetched for me to say that I'm worth the hourly plus 40%, right? I'm, an egomaniac. Like, I'm mentally ill in how well I think of myself. I don't like myself, but I think I'm great anyways. And I'll tell you right now, there's no way you should be paying me hourly plus percentage. Like hourly full rates plus 40%. That's so much money. And I'm bearing no risk at that point. It doesn't make any sense. So that part of this, just us, makes me pretty uncomfortable. I don't think it's unreasonable to say, hey, you got to pick one or the other. Like, we can talk about a reduced hourly rate if that's what you want. You don't want to bear any risk as the attorney. We can talk about that. That's fine. Or, you can have a percentage, maybe even a hybrid, where you pay something flat rate up front and the attorney covers the front's expenses for you, and then there's a percentage on the back end, right? That's fine. That's very common in this field. That's, I think, the norm in most of the country at this point. I have no problem with that. Certainly don't. Generally, that's a structure that we adopt, but we shoulder most of the risk because we're covering the expenses and all the labor costs, and there's no telling the client you pay up on the hour, right? Like, hey, we ran through your $10,000 retainer, billing hourly, so now you got to pay another $10,000 retainer. Then the firm's bearing no risk. So why would the firm get a percentage, right? And I know there's some attorney right now watching this video being like, Vince, I hate you. I have these amazing deals. That's what I do, and I'm making so much money doing it. And that's fine. I mean, if your clients are happy and you're all consenting adults and you all reasonably understand the terms and conditions and you've all thought this through, then cool. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I don't know if it's wrong where you are. I'm telling you that it makes me uncomfortable. It would make me uncomfortable to do it. It would make me uncomfortable if my family members were signing retainers like that. That specifically makes me say, ooh, I don't know about these retainer terms. And also, if I had a family member who came to me with that proposed retainer agreement, hourly plus contingency percentage, on the back end, I'd probably say, do you really want to work with somebody trying to rake you over the coals like that? I mean, that's aggressive. And I say that as a very expensive option. Like, we're not a cheap option in this field. And I cringe at this idea, right? And I'm pretty aggressive. I think attorneys should get paid. I think if firms don't get paid, they don't exist and they don't help people next year, right? It's that simple. And I'm sure people get mad about that. But I will say, hourly plus percentage gives me the heebie-jeebies. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. So just us, I wish you the world of luck. I hope everything's going well. I hope that you get a better deal. It looks like you asked this question 3 days ago, so you may have already signed that retainer. I don't know. But I wish you great success and a big payday, and maybe it's going to work out great. Maybe that's the best attorney in the entirety of the world, and the hourly rate is super cheap, and you're both doing amazingly with each other and doing right by each other, and it is a fully formed, wonderful union and retainer agreement, and everything's wonderful, and I hope that. But if it's not a done deal, it sure sounds like a deal that needs to be negotiated a little further at the very least, or shopped around. And I might lean heavily on shopping around, if I'm being honest with you. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Helps me to help more people just like you. Take care, everybody.